multiple businesses, 2 kids, like a lot in your life has changed in the last couple of years. Are you finding that like your ability to manage stress and like navigate through the ups and downs of like your cortisol levels, and you're like such an intense individual, your intensity, like your work-life balance, how are you doing on that front?
Yeah, I think
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the MTNTOUGH Podcast. I'm your host, Dustin Defenderfer, and I'm so glad that you're here. It is our goal every single week to bring you an inspiring guest that helps you with that mental toughness, that mental fitness, that adds some tools to that mindset toolbox so that you can stay dangerous. If you are brand new to this show and this is your first time, I do want to make sure you are aware that as a listener to this podcast, you do get 6 weeks free of training on the MTNTOUGH app. All you need to do to take advantage of that offer is go to MTNTOUGH.com, click Start Free Trial, and then enter the code MOUNTAINPOD at checkout. That's all caps, all one word, MTNPOD. That will get you going for 6 weeks for free on MTNTOUGH. All of our physical programming, spiritual, mental, nutritional, that's going to unlock all of that for you for 6 weeks. That code again is MOUNTAINPOD. Shifting gears now to today's guest, we have a frequent visitor back to the MTNTOUGH show. On the show today, we have Remi Warren. Remi is a lifelong hunter. He is a former backcountry guide. He's one of the most respected voices in the hunting world. He's put in a lot of hard miles in some wild places, doing things the right way when no one is watching. We've talked to Remi several times on this show, but today we're specifically going to dig into his entrepreneurship journey. We're going to check in on his fitness and nutrition as he changed that up last year, but we also really want to hear about him acquiring this new company, Day 6, and see how that has changed his family life, his lifestyle, as he is tweaking and modifying and expanding his entrepreneurship journey as an owner now of a product company making arrows and broadheads. A fascinating discussion, so please stand by for Remi Warren. Dude, I was just outside and it's January 14th and you could wear shorts, flip-flops, and a t-shirt, no problem.
Oh, I know. It's wild winter, I guess, or lack thereof. I mean, we finally got some snow here, and there's some snow on the ground. It's been cold, but yeah, that entire summer-style winter, I think it's good for hunting purposes if it's a wet spring. But, man, no snowpack. Get a little worried about drought and other things. So, on one hand, warm winters, you're always like, oh, yeah, we don't have that harsh winter kill. Yeah. On the other hand, you're like, wait till early fire season, and no water and drought and bad antlers. Last year was good, though, because we got kind of a mild winter and a lot of actual like snow at a decent time in the spring, and like a wet spring where the mountains are wet, but I don't know.
It messes with you, too, because definitely there's this like transition where the winters are pushing right. And so where we used to have winter show up in November and December, January, definitely over the last 15 years, I don't have the statistics on it, but it definitely feels like now it's a lot more February and March snow, with March bringing these big like 3-foot dumps. And so now you're sitting here in January, it's almost summer-like outside today, and you're like, is that snow going to show up in March or not? Because if it doesn't, there's going to be fires everywhere.
Yeah, I know. That's what it seems like. You're always worried about that, but it seems it's like you're right. It's been pushing more into that spring. I don't know. I feel like I like to ski, and so my ski season starts in March. It's like March and April, and that's the best skiing.
Yeah.
All right.
The crowds are gone and the snow's good.
Yeah, exactly. Wild.
I know. Mother Nature's doing some kind of weird things right now. There's like a lot of different phenomenons going on out there right now that are connected to kind of this bizarre winter we're having. Have you ever seen a moon dog?
No, what's that?
So there was a moon dog out the other night, which is you look up at the moon and around it is this perfect ring, like way up in the atmosphere.
Okay, I have seen.
I was like, what the heck is going on? Why is there a ring around the moon? And I guess it happens every so often.
Yeah, I have seen that before, I guess. What is it like is it some kind of cold and it's the light's catching and refracting?
Yeah, I guess it's like
frozen.
Extreme cold up at that high altitude.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Nice, man. Well, we did a podcast on your show last week, and we talked a bunch about New Year's resolutions and what people are thinking about now that it's January 2026. And we went over a lot in terms of how New Year's resolutions don't normally stick for people. Like 90% of them are going to fail. A lot of people, like if they start them on January 1st, like by January 9th, they're over. And so the idea of a New Year's resolution generally doesn't work, but the idea of like making an identity change and locking that into your lifestyle does work. And the cool thing I think about that is, listeners can go listen to that full episode on your podcast, but the thing that I find really awesome is last year for you, your fitness journey and health journey kind of started changing. And, from my perspective, it was kind of like before you and I really met, you were very busy with hunting, very busy with business. And then we started connecting Mountain Tough into your brand and your brand into Mountain Tough. And then you slowly over time, even with your busy schedule and your travel schedule, it took a little while. And then you really started incorporating like more minimal gear workouts. And then you started incorporating quite a bit of diet changes too, because of you were trying to address some certain things. But I kind of love seeing that because it connects with what we were talking about on your show, is that it's not always New Year's resolutions, but there's always ways that we can continue to get better, always look at ways to improve ourselves, always look at ways to improve our fitness and our health. And that's definitely seemed, from my perspective, kind of what you were up to last year across the board. It was like, I'm going to make some fitness tweaks. I'm going to make some diet tweaks. I'm going to make some lifestyle and business tweaks. It seems like last year was like a pretty transformational year for you.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, for me, I think it was just doing things different than I'd always done them before. And I think for me, it was like I was always healthy, but health was never a priority. And as I started to get older and then had some injuries and had kids, and then, lifestyle and schedules and everything starts to change, you almost kind of like, you're like, well, I actually got to change the way that I do things because my life has changed so much. And so that was kind of the realization for me last year, is like, okay, I can't do what I used to do. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work anymore. And I want to be better at, overall health and energy and everything. And so incorporating, I felt like I was having a lot of gut problems and issues and things like that. We talked about that last, I think the last podcast I did with you, I was like, dude, I am dying. And just did an overhaul on the things that I was eating and started actually looking into some of the stuff and came out like understanding a lot more about the way that I operate, which helped. Like, I feel so good. And honestly too, like, I haven't been sick because I think I was just getting run down from probably the food and that kind of stuff. And then you get a little bit, something comes at you and you don't have as much energy to fight it or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was good for me. And then, picking last year, I decided to do, like, my wife loves to do marathons. So ran a marathon with her, and I'm the kind of person where, I've never actually run a marathon. I've run, but never like tried to go fast or timed or distance, whatever. So for me, that was actually really fun. Like, it was a fun thing that I got to do. And I just felt like it kind of played into the whole lifestyle identity, and you're like, well, if you're starting to identify as a runner, then you're gonna run, right? Like, um, yeah. And so, that was cool. That was just something, and then even just other changes in lifestyle of like food, nutrition, supplementation, just really looking at it and actually thinking about it, not just letting it happen.
Yeah. I think that is interesting because there are probably a lot of men that go through a similar situation that don't pick up on the lifestyle change connecting to like how they're feeling physically, and they just kind of keep plowing through that negatively. So for example, like you guiding all the time and hiking all the time and being outdoors all the time like you had done like the previous 20 years, it left not much need or like necessity to add like a bunch of additional training. Then your lifestyle changes and it's like kids, family, add some other businesses, do less guiding, less traveling, and then all of a sudden you start feeling different and notice because you're feeling different, you got to make some changes. That was like a pretty crucial step that a lot of guys miss. So like if you have an individual doing construction all the time and then they hit 40 and change into an office job, you see elements like that happening all the time. And if it's not handled properly and with awareness, that is where you can start to see like a lot of negative symptoms start stacking on themselves. So it's like I go from an active job to an office job. I don't feel as good. I don't have as much energy. Like a lot of men, their testosterone is going to go down when they switch from like a vitamin D environment to a non-vitamin D environment. And then they're like, man, like, why do I not feel so good? I'm packing on pounds. I'm not sleeping very good. I don't have much energy. And when those symptoms really start stacking, they do get to a state where they're like, it's just too late. Like it's too late. I can't make these pivots. So it's awesome that you like made those pivots so quickly. And I do think that is like often missed, and that leads to some really negative consequences.
Yeah, I think so. And I think one of the things is like, for the longest time, I never really had to think about those things. And so it wasn't, when you aren't thinking about it, it's not at the forefront of what you're doing. And therefore it just kind of gets on the back burner. And then you look back and you're like, whoa, what happened? Mm-hmm. I think the other thing, like one of the things that I started last year, what was it called? You guys did that.
The Always Ready Challenge.
Always Ready Challenge. And the thing that really helped me was the consistent eating. So my, like, it sounds weird, but like my general lifestyle forever has been like, get up, drink coffee all day, eat at 5 p.m. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
just really bad about it. Never consistent about eating. Like I it's kind of like, okay, I'll just whatever. And then eat. I don't know. I think that like, and then so just being more planning out like, okay, I'm going to have that protein and vegetable and like actually have 3 meals, eat in the morning, which I still, sometimes skip or whatever. And I like to intermittent fast just cause I think I work good that way. But, like just actually like thinking about what I'm eating, when I'm eating, like, oh yeah, it's a meal time and I'm going to eat and not go these long gaps between eating and having more consistent energy and not bonking out at the end of the day or whatever. That really helped in keeping that energy up and like feeling a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny too, because some of these dietary things, they kind of like change in us at a different set of ages. And so like as we get older, some bizarre like dietary restrictions show up that we didn't deal with when we were younger. And then you connect that with, there's some wild statistics out there right now that like 50 to 60% of American food is illegal in Europe, stuff like that. I don't know the exact numbers.
Oh yeah.
But you combine that with us getting older, and it's like, well, when you're like 20, you eat whatever you want, it doesn't matter. When you're 30, you eat whatever you want, it doesn't matter. Then all of a sudden it matters. Not only does it matter from like my metabolism's not cranking like it used to, but also like there's some stuff in this food that we should not be putting into our bodies. And we can maybe our gut can handle that when we're 20, but not when we're 40. And like that stuff can sneak up on you fast.
Oh, for sure. I actually saw this funny video. Well, it wasn't funny. I mean, it's like a chemist that was like, I'm going to make some of these food things that people buy. And the one that I just saw was like chewing gum. And he takes like a tire, and like makes it into like an actual road tire and like makes it exactly with the same ingredients as like chewing gum that you're buying. It's like all these petroleum based products that we're putting in food and putting in our bodies. And you're like, I mean, I don't chew gum, but I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm like, dude, yeah. And then all these like fake sweeteners and all this stuff. And you go, yeah, no wonder we feel like shit.
Dude, it's crazy. And
It's wild.
And you have to kind of like go off the deep end to get away from it all. It's just around us everywhere. Like last year when you came up and you flew up from Reno, you had your carry-on bag, and then you just had that like elk steak in the Ziploc.
Yeah, an elk steak and a sweet potato in a Ziploc.
Yeah. So you just like all day you're just like packing around this cold elk steak and the sweet potato in the Ziploc. And that's when we started talking about like your gut changing, like something just shifted in you, which is common in a lot of guys. Hey guys, I did want to interrupt for a quick minute right here and let you know about some supplements I've been taking. I did shy away from supplements for a long time. I was always cautious about what they were made out of, where they were from, and who the team was behind the brands. But over the last couple of years, I've got to meet the team at Mountain Ops from top to bottom, and they are an amazing group of humans. I've got to know the CEO, Trevor Farnes, really well, and he is a mission-focused individual that cares about humans living a better quality of life so that they can have that abundant life. So over the last couple of years, he has helped me add some things that have changed the game for me. One of those things that I've added is creatine from Mountain Ops. It helps me maintain some muscle mass, but also it's a big, big player in cognitive function, one of the most researched supplements out there. Also, I've added reds, greens, and protein, all from Mountain Ops. What I found as a busy professional, always on the run, I do eat a whole foods diet for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but on the go, it's hard to get enough vegetables, fruits, and protein. So I've added that from Mountain Ops, and it has significantly changed the game. I can feel it in my performance. I haven't got sick for a long, long time, and I can certainly feel it in my mental clarity as well. The last thing I've added is the Mountain Tough Hydrate product for the backcountry, for hunting season. When I'm in the hills, I do run short on those electrolytes. We even have a Mountain Tough flavor, the Mountain Tough Lemon Lime Hydrate, and that is a game changer for hydration in the backcountry. So I keep it really simple. That is all I've added to my protocol, and it has certainly helped me, and I certainly believe in the team and the culture behind Mountain Ops. They have started an initiative that's been around for a while called Conquer Hunger. Conquer Hunger is giving meals to hungry kids that aren't getting enough food, and they've given out over 6 million meals plus to kids through their Conquer Hunger initiative. So every order that happens at Mountain Ops, a percentage of that order goes to Conquer Hunger. So certainly an incredible company, an incredible culture. As a listener to the show, you do get an exclusive offer to Mountain Ops, so make sure you check that out. The offer is incredible as a first-time purchase at mountainops.com. So build your order if it's your first time. They are offering you a 20% exclusive discount. All you need to do is enter the promo code Mountain Tough, all one word, all caps, for 20% off your first order at mountainops.com.
Yeah, I think like for me, I kind of, it was, I don't know, maybe a couple months before that, I just started like, all right, I'm just eating essentially vegetables and wild game meat, game meat's what I eat my entire life, but nothing, just not having anything else. And so being on that for a little while, it was like the first time that I ate something that wasn't prepared by me for 2 or 3 months. And so you realize like the pendulum had swung, and I was like, oh, this isn't good. It doesn't make me sick.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty wild, the stuff that is kind of going into our bodies, even for like the population that's trying to eat super clean, the ability to kind of like get all of these negative chemicals out is tough.
Yeah.
So when you kind of started making those changes last year, like when you look at 2025 as doing things like you've never done them before, because you're kind of setting up a new chapter in your life with the kids and kind of switching up your lifestyle, started adding quite a bit of the running and the workouts. How did you notice that you were like starting to feel better?
Yeah, I mean, I think it seemed like for the first part it was kind of felt the same, and then it just hit, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm feeling a lot better. And I think one of the things that I liked about the running is it was like a direct correlation of a distance and a time, and that started to increase, and I started to have more energy to run faster and harder and longer, and I'm like, okay, that was a good barometer of saying like, oh, okay, like my overall health is improving, and then also just like not being sick, not getting sick, feeling like I had a lot more energy throughout the day, sleeping better, all the things associated with that, I think started.
So when you think about like the podcast we did together last week, when we're talking about resolutions, how do you think differently like about what you went through last year and how like you're going to continue to make that part of your lifestyle like into 26 and 27?
Yeah, I think like for me this year, I think that one of the things that resonated really well was actually doing the marathon or some kind of event. We have the Tough Sheep coming up. We did that last year, and that was a lot of fun. So just even having those events, but like that's at the beginning of the year, having something more in between hunting season and so like that pre-spring summertime for me, I just felt like that worked for me. I'm like, okay, I have a goal. I guess I'm real goal oriented, and it's almost like, okay, hunting season is that goal, that sheep hunt, that elk hunt, that mule deer hunt, that tag.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in September. It's in whenever. And having that kind of like in between goal of something that's fitness related and I'm really striving for, that for me worked. It just kind of kept me on track, and it kind of was like that countdown, that deadline, like this is coming up. You can't miss this. You can't miss that. So I just started putting things in priority. And for me, that resonated real well. It was a great strategy, a great tactic, something that I learned from you. And I was like, yeah, plan something. And like my thought is like, I don't even really care what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might do a triathlon later this summer and a marathon or early spring. But just having those as those goals of like, okay, it keeps me on track, and it's fun too.
Yeah.
For me at least.
It's such a good hack. I mean, just to add that thing to your calendar. And it's funny because like I ran into Brian Barney yesterday, and he just got home from an odd ad hunt in New Mexico.
Yeah.
And there was an archery only draw, and the archery only draw had very, very low statistics on the last 3 years. It was something like 65 tags, but like 7 were filled last year, and then it was like 6 and 5. So over the last 3 years, it was like slightly less than 10% on that archery public land New Mexico odd ad hunt. And he went down there and he was all fired up. Like he was just fired up about how amazing of a trip it was and how cool of an animal they were. And he was successful. And it's interesting because like you are the same way in terms of like the hunting for a guy like you and for Brian is a lot about the hunt, but in the hunt, I mean, it's like the backcountry, the quiet, the wilderness, but it also is like this mission. It's like I'm obsessed with this mission and I'm not going to fail. And that trait that like you both share is what makes you highly successful, because it's like not being successful is like not an option. And since you have that in your DNA, if you add other fitness events, that same like mindset starts to kick in, where it's like, well, I'm signed up for a marathon, so I'm not going to fail. And it's funny how you can pour gas onto that DNA that's like made you really successful in your career.
Yeah, I think it is a good little hack, because it's like you can always do something and just do it to get by, but if you have that kind of thing in you that makes you have to do it the best you can, then whatever you're gonna do, you get a lot of benefit from. I think like it's one of those things. I always share this story about one time someone invited me to like a cycling class. That's not my. I'm like I probably should go to those kind of things, but I like show up in jeans and like never been on a bike. I haven't been on a bike since I was 10 years old, and it was just like a bunch of ladies in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to win this. Like, I damn near killed myself. But I was like, first place on the leaderboard, chafed beyond belief.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's just my, it's just the way that I do things, I guess. I don't know.
You're like, these jeans are hot, but I'm going to win this whole thing.
Yes. I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to crank it as hard as it goes and just pedal as fast as I can. Right.
That's a good trait. I mean, it's like what you do, you're going to do everything to the best of your possibility, whether that's like going on a hunt or that's making a grilled cheese sandwich. Like, you're going to do it right, and you're going to like do it all the way. But like all of our greatest strengths are also our darkest shadow. So it's like figuring out how to find the positive and the negative in there.
Yeah. I think like someone asked my wife to describe me in like one word, and she said intense. Like, it's just like, yeah, man. It's like people are like, do you have fun? And I'm like, yeah, but it's a different kind of fun.
Even my fun is intense.
Yeah.
So how has it been adding a brand new business on top of your plate this year? That is like a brand new transition. You've always had that entrepreneurship spirit with what you've created with Live Wild, your guiding business, but then kind of going out and making this acquisition is kind of like that next step up in kind of expanding your portfolio as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So earlier, I guess late summer, I ended up taking over the Day 6 Arrow Company. We manufacture and make arrows and broadheads. And it's a company that I started out as a customer and then like really pretty much fell in love with the product. I mean, I love bow hunting. That's like my favorite thing in the world. And kind of for me, the thing that was always the pinch point of my setup I just felt like I needed a better arrow than what I was currently getting. And one of my buddies like turned me on to the Day 6 company. I just kind of called them up as a customer, like, hey, just talk to him on the phone, which I was like, dude, you can't call him like what arrow company can you call up and then just like talk you through your setup, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like, I'd gone on this moose hunt. Like, I'm like, my arrow is absolutely too light. I need something heavier. I want to design like penetration. I've got I've got a really long draw length, which is awesome. And I was shooting pretty heavy poundage. And I'm like, so I'm not really worried about speed. Like I might as well get an arrow that is heavy. And the heavier arrow that I was using, I didn't like they just weren't consistent. And so Brian, the owner at the time, got me set up, and I got like a dozen, and they were just like, they're phenomenal. And I started having more success because I was more accurate. My setup was better. Like less stuff was jumping because it was like quieted down. It has everything I wanted. And yeah, and so I just like fell in love with that product, and then started alongside like building the Live Wild brand, my business. I've got an outfitting business and a spice company, a couple other projects and businesses. But one of the things that I kind of thought that I always wanted to get into was the manufacturing side of things. And for me as well, one of my favorite things that I get to do in my job, which I get to do with a lot of companies, product and gear development. I was like, man, it would be awesome to have a company where we've got a high quality product. We get to do product development and make some new stuff that solve a few problems.
Yeah.
And something that, we can manufacture and control and do here in America. Like, I think that would be pretty cool. And for the longest time, it was always in my mind, like, oh, the day six would be, people would ask, like, if you could buy any company, what would it be? And I was like, well, day six. But I didn't think that was ever going to be possible.
Dude, that's awesome.
So I think that, the opportunity came about, and I was like, okay, we're going to have to make a big sacrifice and a big pivot. And it essentially meant that, I had to sell my outfitting business, which I've been running for 23 years, 20 some odd years, which, it's a little bit emotional. You're like, okay, there's a lot of identities wrapped up in that business. That's where I started. There was like so many memories and other things, and you love it. Like, I love taking people out. And for me too, I was like, I was an outfitter and would guide every single week too. So
yeah,
because I just loved it. Like it was cool for me, but also I'm like, okay, that's a lot of days where I'm not doing other things, trying to keep up with the other businesses and all the other things. So, it was a big pivot. And then, on the kind of behind the scenes, when you do something like that, for my wife and I, like, everything that I'd saved, everything that we had, we kind of had to sell everything and start over. Like, wow, we felt like we were doing pretty good. And now we're like, we are at the very, we just started over. I just went back 20 years in a way.
Starting
I think
over,
that, yeah, starting over. But I think that, the way that I see it is like, you might be starting over with whatever but you're starting at a new level, a new plateau. Like, you climbed the mountain, you got to a certain point, and then you aren't starting back at the base of the mountain. You're starting at this new plateau, and you can go higher from there. And so for me, I think it's just like being able to dig in, build this business. It's exciting. It's scary, but it's exciting.
Dude, that's massive. I didn't realize how massive that identity piece was with the outfitting. I know that we talked about it a little bit, but just thinking about that had to be huge. Like, the emotional ties, you have a huge chunk of your identity tied in that, especially for 20 some years. Like, all those people that you worked with, all the customers that want to come back and see you, the like nostalgia of all the times you've hiked those mountains, like, to walk away from that and kind of start this recreation of yourself, that was major.
Yeah, I think it's like, in the byline of my profile, I do a lot of things. I've done a lot of things in the past, but the one that I'm like probably the most proud about is being a guide and an outfitter. And I think too, it gives me got me to where I am today, but also gave me a realm of credibility that a lot of people maybe in the industry didn't have. And then the other thing is, like, I was really good at it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, man, you're like, there was that tangible, you take someone out for the week, you get them in it's like very tangible success. Like, success is a dead elk,
black and
or
white,
a deer, or and so, like, for me, I liked that. That's why I would guide, because it's like, it's that tangible success. I'm like, I'm going out. It either happens or it doesn't. It's all based on my skills and abilities to make this work. And so that's like really fulfilling too. And it's like directly correlated to the work that you're putting in, the knowledge that you have, and years of experience. And so when you're like, okay, well, I'm going to not do that anymore and do this other thing. Okay, well, how do you replace that? Or it's kind of it was a hard decision, in a lot of ways, but I think a necessary one, and something that I'm really excited about too. Did
you lock up for a while, like in a season of fear, where where you knew that this was probably something that you were going to do, but like stuck in a fear cycle for a while? Like, should I do this? Are we going to be able to pay our bills? How's this going to look? Is my wife okay with it?
Yeah, still in that cycle. But, yeah. No, I think like I have a lot of peace about it. I think like, you know, we all have goals and other things, and in some ways I felt like I'd attained a lot of the goals that I wanted to, and I think that this was kind of a new, just that new chapter, that next chapter for me personally. I think that like I've never really had to dive into like the manufacturing side, and so, you know, I mean, like honestly, arrow sales are pretty seasonal. Arrows and broadheads, like not a lot of people are thinking about getting a broadhead right now because they're hunting in September. They're like, I got a few in quiver still or whatever. So, but you have to manufacture all this stuff, and so we have to like just build out the timelines and the amount of manufacturing that we're doing, and we need to have the product for when that busy season comes around. So there's a lot of that sleepless nights of like, okay, we got to get steel and titanium and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? It's like every day is those kind of things. And for me personally, I think like the previous owners, Brian, is staying on and running like day-to-day operations. So all the like actual building and all that stuff, you know, but
nice.
I think that still, you know, it still all falls on a lot of that, like all the financial responsibility, all the invoices and all the crazy payroll, everything falls on me.
Yeah.
And that stress of, you know, payroll and family. And I mean, if you're a business owner, you understand. If you aren't, give your employers a break. You know, if you whatever, because dude, you just don't know the sacrifices that they make. You know, the first people's whatever, you know, the first one to go hungry is generally the one that's got to pay everyone else. Yeah, I mean, maybe not. A lot of but the way that I operate is like, dude, I'll pass, make my guys, make sure that they get what they need. And it's a lot of, you know, you're responsible for multiple families, and there's a lot of stress in that. There's a lot of, I mean, you know, like you want it to go, you got to dig in and make it work, because it's not just for you, it's for, you know, multiple families. So, I think that there's always that fear of like fear of failure, but I'm more of the, we've got faith that it's going to work out, and we've got a plan, and we trust in what we're going to do and what we feel is right, and not really, and we don't worry about it too much. I mean, there is a few sleepless nights with any business. I think if you said there wasn't, you'd be lying to yourself.
Yeah.
For the most part, I think it's great. It's awesome to be able to do.
For more than a century, America's sportsmen and women have led the way in paying for the restoration of wildlife, conserving habitat, and investing in the future of our natural world. This is a legacy built not on what we take ourselves, but on what we give back. That's the nature of conservation, paying it forward for the next generation. This is the reason Mountain Tough is a proud partner of Wild Sheep Foundation, an organization committed to keeping and putting wild sheep on the mountain. If you're not already a member, learn more today at wildsheepfoundation.org. Yeah, it's like pressure is a privilege, and it is hard. And being an owner or a founder is always difficult to talk to people that aren't an owner and a founder about, just because there are these giant burdens. There's this heavy backpack that's like hard to explain unless someone is in similar shoes, but it does allow like this amazing privilege to take care of families, but also it creates like these opportunities to create your own destiny and create things that you've always wanted to be created that just don't already exist in the world. And I wonder about that with you in day 6. Is part of your vision not only will you be a phenomenal arrow and broadhead company, but it gives you the platform now to be like, hey, here's another sweet product that doesn't already exist. Here's another sweet product that doesn't already exist, and kind of start this like next chapter as like a product innovator.
Yeah, I think that that's going to be a big part of it because we're going to be already coming out with a couple products this year that I think like are missing, honestly. And we're like, dude, isn't there enough arrows and broadheads out there? And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of shitty ones. But like I think that there's some things that could be done way better, and it's a process to figure that out. But I think that I that's what it really excites me. I think about it is just like that the innovation portion of it is exciting, and the getting. I've got to test a lot of products for a lot of companies that were someone else's brainchild, or maybe I had influence in it. But I think that it's fun to, with this company, be like, okay, here's what we, or maybe it's not even any, maybe it's just something that like, I think that this would be cool. And we can start to work on that and build that out, and then you see it come to fruition. It's pretty cool.
Dude, that is cool. 'Cause it's cool. It's cool to like look at your own life and anyone's life, and you can kind of like look at it backwards, and you can see some amazing things, and you can always see how like a guy did something previously that built a platform to allow him to enter this new chapter. And if you wouldn't have done those decades of guiding, you wouldn't have been as good at identifying the gaps in product as you're going to be. And it's like, there's a lot of engineers, there's a lot of people that can sit in an office and think about products all day, but it's even better if you have someone that has been in the field hundreds of thousands of hours that can think about what is going to make a better product for a hunter. And so like that whole outfitting career, even as hard as it was to leave, really set you up beautifully for like a career in product. And like God does that all the time. It's like, how do I leverage like my physical capital, spiritual capital, intellectual capital, relationship capital, and financial capital? So it's always like those 5 capitals that he's been building your whole life are going to allow you to be like successful in this next chapter. But like all those years of outfitting make you very unique for what you're about to do, which is super awesome.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things of like looking at it and being like, oh, how do you get there? And as someone, it's not one, I couldn't give a master class on how to do it because every single person probably to where they're at is a completely different path, right? But yeah, all the things in the past have kind of like led to this point, and it's given me, I'm kind of I like that learn by experience, learn by that trial and error, just be out in the field, like just keep doing, start it. If you want something, start doing it. And I think that kind of has put me in the position where I am now, and I'm very thankful for it. I think that like for me, knowledge and experience, it trumps everything. And I don't, that's just my personal belief, but you can only get that by just going through the repetitions, doing it over and over and over. And then you get to a point where you're like, okay, now I feel like I understand that and kind of build something with it.
Dude, that's cool. A lot has changed. I mean, out of outfitting a new business, multiple businesses, 2 kids, like a lot in your life has changed in the last couple of years. Are you finding that like your ability to manage stress and like navigate through the ups and downs of like your cortisol levels? And I'm like really interested in that with you too, because you're like such an intense individual. Your intensity, like your work-life balance, how are you doing on that front?
Yeah, I think good. I mean, I've said this before, but it's one of those things where I work really, really hard and a lot of hours, and it's just part of what we do. But also when I'm with my family, I'm 100% there. And I think that like we talk about it with my wife and I a lot, where it's like we talk about, okay, people are like, oh, he's gone or whatever. It's like, yeah, but when I'm here, I'm present. I think there's a lot of people that get up, they go to their 9 to 5, whatever, and yet, but when they're home, they just aren't home. They might be physically there, but they're on their phone. They're scrolling through things. It's like you can be there and not be there.
Yeah.
And you know, and we make sure that we make time. It's like when I'm gone or whatever, then, you know, the kids do come on a lot of stuff with us, and which is awesome. But just being present and really putting in the same effort that you do in everything else, because otherwise it just falls to the wayside. You know, so something has got to break if you don't put the same amount of attention to it. For me, I mean, I love what we do, the business side and everything, but family's first. And I think like having that good grounding in that, and then it just allows me to, like, when I'm working, it's really for my family. And so it just gives me that more, I don't know, like more steam in the engine to do it in a lot of ways and to do it right.
Dude, that's awesome.
But as far as I'm kind of one of those people, like I've been in a lot of stressful situations in life. And so like, I don't really get stressed, which is nice. Sometimes I'm like, I probably should be worried, but it's just like, yeah, there's not a lot of time for worrying and stressing out about stuff.
That is the crazy part about like mental toughness is built through adversity. So when you've been through a lot of adversity, it takes a lot to create future adversity. It's like the cumulative core experiences of hard things. It makes it difficult to throw something that's going to be hard because you've been through so much. Like that's like the beauty of mental toughness. That's the beauty of like all these hard mountain hunts, is it creates a lot. Something has to be pretty big to create panic. And I mean, that's why like pushing yourself hard outside in the outdoors, on the mountain, in all these different environments, like not only is it amazing to do, but it leads to all these other life factors at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. It's like the training ground out there. You're like, well, this isn't really a problem. You know, I'm not going to die because of this. Like, I'm not about to get eaten. It's all good.
Dude, when you're like, I remember going on that Alaska trip this year, when all you have to worry about for like a couple weeks is food, water, shelter. When you come home, everything else just seems like an annoyance. You're like, man, for 14 days, it was just like, do we have food, water, and shelter? Yes. If we don't, let's figure it out. And then those are like your biggest concerns over multiple weeks. And then you come home and it's like, what kind of cereal do you want? And you're like, oh, this stuff is just annoying to have to figure out. Like the polar differences are crazy.
Oh yeah. As soon as you like get around cars and traffic, you're just like, what am I doing? Why is this even a thing?
Just the re-entry.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I did want to hear like a quick recap of the ibex hunt with Pedro. I know that you were able to go over to Europe and hunt with him, and it just looked epic. And I have so much admiration for Pedro because like that dude is doing some of the coolest, hardest mountain hunts in the world. And, you know, most of the time he's doing it with his bow. And not only that, like his videos and content are epic. And then he's crushing like a bunch of Mountain Tough workouts at home with his wife now, which is super rad. And then with Mountain Tough, like our logo being the ibex, like going on these different ibex hunts, I'm always so fascinated by.
Yeah, and not only that, but he's just a fun guy to be around. Like he's really fun. He's like the cool kid. I'm like real serious. I think like I can be fun and fun. I can be fun. He can do all those things and just like really make you laugh, which is fun. It's fun to be around people like that.
You have the
it's definitely
fun.
A gift. Yeah. Like but yeah, I think like it's just fun to be on a hunt with him, and we've got to do a few different hunts in different places. But it was cool to go over to Spain and see. I've never actually hunted Spain. It's a beautiful country, some incredible mountains, and then they have those different species of ibex, which are pretty cool. But we went up and stayed in this like his friend Samuel at a hunting area.
Dude, that place you guys stayed was insane. Where
It's
there was
super
like
cool.
that
It's like
fire
yeah,
pit.
you're like it's all like a rock hut, and it's along these like trails that were, built, I don't know, probably before America was America. I can't remember. There's like dates to it. There's a whole history. I didn't remember all the details, but old, right? Like they've just been there forever. And so that was cool. Like there's just so much history and stuff like that. And then the hunt was really fun. It was just a cool area, cool experience. It's kind of a different like management style. It's crazy because like the tags there, they're issued by the government, but the tags are all like based on size of the animal. So the way that I would compare it is like they want to take out not just like there's like the real old one. So everything has to be old, but then they're looking at like the genetics of the animal. So there's like you could have everything I think that you would shoot would be 8 years old or older, something like that, like past their prime. But then within that, you could have ones that are never going to grow more than what they are. And then you have ones that are just absolutely giant. So they break them into like categories based on their genetics and size.
Dang.
And then the tag is issued for like that. So it's like a score of an old animal. So it has to be an old animal that scores within this to this. And that's your tag, like the legal requirement.
Dude, that'd be
hunting.
tough.
Yeah, it's wild. Like we can. I actually got pretty good at judging the ibex pretty quick, but I've been around a lot of animals and a lot of scoring and kind of understand, call it like rack bracketing, like understanding the size of animals. But you would see like Pedro shot his tag. He had a lot better tag than I had, which I didn't care. I was like, dude, you go for the big dogs, right?
Yeah.
Like I just want an old mature animal, and the one that I got was awesome. But it's interesting because the way that they do their management is based off of just completely different system than what we have.
Mm-hmm.
And that was cool to see too, like just a different system, different way of issuing and doing wildlife management. But it still boils down to that hunting and conservation and looking after this group of animals. And, they have like biologists that are out there constantly watching these animals. It was cool. It was just a completely different experience, which was awesome.
Yeah, they're like super, super focused on their conservation because it's a there's a lot of people in Europe and there's not abundant natural resources, so there's kind of like this laser focus on making sure that population's doing well.
Yeah, there's this. I'm not an expert on this, but I thought it was pretty cool. They have like some areas that they would call like a monteria, which is like let's call it like a private property or a hunting area, right? And they hunt one day a year and they do all their management in that one day. So they know how many animals are there, and then they know they got to like shoot X amount of females, males, young ones, old ones. And then it's like one or weekend of hunting or one day of hunting. And then they do all the management like one day. And it's like, that would be actually pretty cool. It looks pretty cool the way that they do it. Yeah. I think they're all like driven hunts or whatever, but just such different approaches, but kind of the same outcome where they're managing the animals and the herds and making sure they don't get too many or not enough. And it's a really cool process.
Mountain Tough is the fitness app trusted by the dedicated. Mountain Tough ethos is backed by we've always wanted to be the best in the world at helping our customers become more mentally tough. So inside the Mountain Tough app, you're not only going to find all of our physical training programs, but you're going to find additional training as well so that you can stay sharp physically, mentally, spiritually, and nutritionally. The Mountain Tough app also allows you to train no matter where you are, anytime, anywhere. Additionally, the Mountain Tough app is going to have programs from beginners all the way up to elite athletes. And all of our programming is structured in a way that you can start with no gear at body weight, and you can go all the way up to programming that is full gear. So you can do that in a robust home gym or your local gym. There's no excuse for you not to start today. With Mountain Tough, you can conquer your goals with the ideal program for your lifestyle and schedule. Train with equipment or just your body weight on your phone, tablet, TV, or web browser. Most importantly, Mountain Tough will help you train your mindset so you are always ready for anything life throws your way. Mountain Tough is offering the Mountain Tough Podcast listeners an incredible offer. 6 weeks free on the Mountain Tough app. All you need to do is use the code MTNPOD to redeem your 6 weeks of training. That'll be a 14-day free trial plus a whole additional 4 weeks of training. Just go to mountaintough.com and enter code MTNPOD for your 6 weeks free on the best-in-class physical and mental training app. Did you pick up on different things in Spain, like just the culture of hunting, showing up as a hunter, like in town on the journey up there? Is it just a different vibe?
Yeah, I think like it definitely is. And the thing that I thought was fun was their hunting food. It's just like bread, loaves of bread and a lot of chorizo, which I love chorizo, so I was not. And then like Loma and some other stuff, just like meat, cheese, and bread. And then the entire, I'd been doing pretty good on like the structured eating, but theirs is like you get back at like 11 p.m. midnight. It's like dinner time. Like, dude, I'll see you in the morning.
Europeans, they're like eating all the time, smoking and
like
drinking
water bottle full of wine. You know what I mean?
And they're like skinny and good shape because they don't have all these illegal chemicals in their food.
Yeah, because they're bread mold. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard if it's left out for more than a day.
Yeah, all these dyes and who knows what else.
Really.
That is awesome. Can you go unguided in Spain?
Well, so the way that those tags work is like you have on the national parks or whatever, you have to have like the biologist persons with you. And then within like the areas, like we had some, like Pedro's was in the park, or like on whatever lane, we had tags in different areas. And so where we were at, we could, but you'd have to have somebody that can like, yeah, you can't really, I guess, because the way that the tag structure is, like the tag's issued to that person, but then it has to be within that certain score and all that stuff. So I don't know. I don't think that they don't have like a DIY kind of system for that. Like it's very regulated because that's how their management system works.
That was funny about when we did the Kyrgyzstan trip for Ibex. It was really surprising to me because like Kyrgyzstan is not really third world in the capital city of Bishkek, but it's not really first world either. So it's like somewhere in second world where it's not extreme poverty, but it is definitely poverty. And then you have a lot of like political forces going on with how close they are to Russia and just a lot of different like political oppression. But then their management of Ibex was at this like extreme high professional level where really similar. The country of Kyrgyzstan is like the size of South Dakota, but the year that we were there, they were only going to sell 300 Ibex tags. And so the size of South Dakota, but it's 90% mountainous, 10% non-mountainous. And every drainage that we saw, and I don't know if that's like it countrywide, but there was Ibex up every drainage, and they were only going to allow 300 tags that year. And similar to your hunt, on our hunt, we had to go through an outfitter, and the outfitter was mostly like transport with the horses and the camp. But then one of them was in charge of like all of the game management. So he was in charge of like a blood sample, a hair sample, like a tooth pull age, and reporting all of that immediately back to the government. So is this weird dichotomy of kind of this oppressed second world country, but then has like this elite level operation of game management going on. It was cool to see. I mean, it was cool to see that they take that much pride in their wildlife management.
Yeah, I think that that's cool. Like it's a cool system that's set up where they've got, essentially like the game warden kind of guy is on the hunt with you. And I know, like I think if you draw like a desert bighorn sheep in Texas, I could be wrong, but I think this is how I'm pretty sure it's still this way. Like you have a biologist and a game warden with you, because they really want to make sure that the right desert bighorn sheep gets taken, right?
Yeah.
It's because that's such a fragile population, or they're trying to manage it in a certain way. And so it makes sense because they don't know, it's like, okay, yeah, you might be capable of understanding the age and scoring sheep and whatever, but the average person that's probably hunting doesn't. So they have that this is the system that's set up because we have these certain objectives that we need to reach, and we need somebody there that's like capable of understanding all this stuff, and that's their job.
Yeah. It's like such a precious resource. They got to be on it. We were cracking up in Kyrgyzstan because there is a big crew that is with that outfitting business, and that's just kind of like the cultural norm in that like mid-Asian region, where you have like 9 or 10 guys like helping with the camp. And so there's like the fire guy, he's in charge of like the fire, then there's like the water guy, and then there's the like horse pack guy, then there's like the tripod guy, and then like the spotting scope guy, and then there's like a helper of the helpers. You're like, what is your role? And he's like, I just help. And we were cracking up so much because over there, like, they do an awesome job, and they're insanely talented on those mountain horses. Like, that part was nuts. But then a lot of them are just kind of hanging out because they want to get tipped out at the end of the hunt. So they're kind of like hanging around, like looking for any kind of odd or end task to do. But then when you're like sneaking around the mountain trying to like not be spotted by these animals that have insanely good vision, you just get frustrated at times. You're like, why are we always sneaking around with like 9 guys? Like,
yeah. I thought, dude, if I ever went back, I'd do like the George Costanza tip method. You ever see like Seinfeld where he's like, here's your potential tip. Every time you do something bad, I'm taking one. Just be like, dude, here's your tip, and you only get it if you leave now. Like, cool. If you wait the whole trip, nothing. But if you like, here you go, here it is, go home, do your thing, get out of here. Like, I feel like it would probably be more beneficial, but yeah, I think that's like just different places, different culture, different system and way of doing things. And that's the fun part about traveling.
It's
different
so
places.
fun.
Like, just understanding some of that. And I think sometimes too, we have a way that like we do things, but what I've learned is, like, I can be intense, but I understand like you just have to have an extreme amount of patience in places where they do things different. Even when I was in the Arctic and just hunting for muskox, and it's like, yeah, like the way that life moves there, like it might happen today, it might not happen for another couple days. Like things are in days, not hours, not minutes. We're so used to just something happening like now and let's go and whatever.
Different. Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's gonna be a couple days. It's gonna be a week. You're like, all right, whatever, just wait around. But it is one of those things, like if you're gonna go on those kind of trips, you just have to understand that that's part of it. And that's like the hardest part for a lot of people.
Yeah. Those cultural differences, but it makes it so fun.
It does. It's fun because like you come back, you get to compare it to, and we're so blessed in the country of like what we're used to and the way that we do things. But it is really cool to go to a lot of places. Just do it how they do it, because it's all part of the experience, all part of the hunt, all part of kind of the adventure.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the adventure, really.
Dude, where do you think about going that you haven't been yet that you'd really want to do a hunt at?
Mongolia would be like, that's a place that I've never been. I think that they have cool animals there. they've got ibex. I just feel like that culture too of like hunting with the eagles and like a nomadic culture still in a lot of places. I think that's cool. Like I kind of resonate with that and their style. I just like I just think they would be a really cool place to visit and then an awesome place to hunt. So I think that would be like one on the top of my list that, is kind of out there. And then I don't know, there's a lot of stuff around in North America that I'd still like to hunt that haven't been successful. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Mongolia would be sweet. There's those giant elk are there too, in addition to the ibex.
Yeah.
Our buddies went last year for ibex, and their local outfitter had never seen a compound bow before.
Really?
And so
that's cool.
They showed up bow hunting only, and their local group was like, dude, what is, like, they couldn't figure out what a bow was. And so then they pulled out like the foam block to sight in their bows after landing at camp, and they pulled it back and shot. And then the local guy wanted to shoot, and he couldn't pull it back because, like if you've never shot a compound before, it's super hard your first time. And so then the local guy thought they were like superheroes. They're like, how does this dude pull this thing back? Like,
that's cool.
I know. It's crazy that, there's just so many amazing places out there that don't see much traffic at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's fun to go to those remote places. And there's a lot of, there's some awesome remote places in Alaska, Canada, the lower 48 even. They're just like, it's as wild as anywhere else in the world in some way.
Yeah.
And so it's fun to, visit those places. And then it's also fun to just, this last season, some of my favorite hunts were just ones with my dad or my wife or my brother, like family, where it's like, yeah, it was just, we were hunting white-tailed does, or like they were just trying to shoot meat bucks. Like, just like kind of just getting back to the roots. And, every hunt's different, kind of what you're trying to get out of it can be different. So there's that like big adventure and then those hard backcountry hunts. And then there's those ones that are like just going out hunting pronghorn with the kids. It's fun too. It's all fun.
It's all fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for jumping on, man. I appreciate it. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Proud of you with the day 6 transition. That's exciting. Like, I know you're just kind of at that infancy right now, but it's going to be really cool to watch like where that matures over the next handful of years. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, thanks. I'm excited about it. And it's just been one of those things that I think it was time to do something like this. And it's a fun new chapter,
It's awesome. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thanks, man.
What a great conversation with Remy. It's always phenomenal to catch up with him. What a good, genuine, authentic guy. Every single episode, we are looking for that golden nugget in what can we take away from this episode that we can apply to our lives. And the big one for me today was on not so much that he reinvented himself, but he did stretch and he did walk through some fear to restructure his life. But not only that, he took what he learned over the last 20 years and applied it into this new gear design and this new quality that he wants to put into day 6. And I think that you heard us talk about that on the show, that the way that God can leverage our intellectual capital, our spiritual capital, our financial capital, our relational capital with what we have done throughout our lives and apply it to a new thing is exactly what Remy experienced last year. But he did have to step through that fear. He had to kind of leverage a lot of his financial assets to step into this new thing. And that's where a lot of guys get stuck. So I wanted you to hear from Remy on how he pushed through. And it's still not easy. It's still a bumpy road. But it did allow him to kind of create this new lifestyle based on his past experience. Love connecting with that guy. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Love you guys, and we will see you on the next episode.